More than I need, what you want, girl, it's yours. Give me your feelings, I just can't ignore. 'Cause all I want is you, baby. Give me your time, all your love, I've been patient.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Russell the Fourth.
Hey everybody, it's me, Brandy.
And welcome to the last episode of season 4 of the What They Never Told Us podcast.
I know some of y'all who didn't listen to the kickback, like, what?
What you mean?
What you mean?
What you mean?
Yeah, we're taking a small hiatus. As you can see, we are back in the basement right now, in our original setup, but we have upgraded. We're working with a new show producer who, which will allow us to move into a different space in not the last kickback, but the episode that we did the kickback on. If you've seen that episode, hopped over to YouTube and checked us out. That is the new space that we are trying to come to you from in season 5.
Absolutely. And love that setup. Got a lot of good feedback from some of y'all about that setup. So we're excited to take the podcast outside of our residential home.
We're growing up. Moving
on up. So excited about that. Also, wow. Wow. Just gonna keep that going. You want to finish
I just need you to acknowledge it in some kind of way. You just gonna keep talking over me?
Did you want to finish the hook? Or?
Nah, I'm good now. We've talked about it. We've addressed it. I'm good. Let's move on.
So I'm pretty sure you see the orange wall at some point. This is in our house.
For the kickbacks.
For the kickbacks and stuff. I mean, but if they get if we can get the World Wide Web, if we can get some Wi-Fi in that building, you won't see the orange wall. No, but so we're excited about that. And we're excited about everything that took place this season. It's been a really dope season, a lot of growth, a lot of new members of the What They Never Told Us family. So
what up, though? Shout
out to y'all. It was a good season. In your mind, what were some standout moments, or was there a moment that kind of stood out to you?
Of course, I don't think like when we sit down here and we get ready to talk or whatever, I don't feel like, oh, that was good. This is a standout moment. But I think I didn't listen back to a lot of episodes, but I will say my favorite to record was Lessons in Love. And that's the one when we had just come back from the marriage retreat that we went to.
Yeah.
And we recorded that. I think there was just a lot of good nuggets, a lot of good things to take home in that episode. And it just felt really good. I really like that. I like it when we get really transparent and can talk out our stuff while also helping people. And I think that episode did that. That
was the episode that brought a lot of the new listeners to What They Never Told Us. That was the what was that conversation? I can't even remember.
That I believe that was the one that took our Instagram to the next level. And that's the one where we were talking about love languages and how to love each other well and what it really means. So that was a really good episode.
Y'all was stressing me out in them comments, though. I'm not going to hold you up. But most of the people that came to our Instagram didn't actually listen to the whole episode. So they were judging the clip like, clearly she doesn't love him. Why should he have to beg for affection when you didn't know I was talking about my previous marriage?
It was just I'm not about to do all that just for a hug. Men just gravitated to that one point, but I do think there were a lot of people who identified with having two different love languages and trying to find a middle ground, and they appreciated the dialogue that we had around the conversation, and it was a real conversation. Like, it wasn't like, well, this is what you should do, or what if. Like, we walk through real life scenarios that we deal with, and I just think those ones just always touch my heart. They just make me feel like being this vulnerable and this open to all of our business is worth it.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. And I also think that it showed me that there's a lot of people dealing with this. a lot of people dealing with issues in this space, right? Like the idea that I have needs, I feel like they're not getting met and I don't know how to approach it, or I do approach it and I don't get the results that I think I should be getting. So there was a lot of people triggered by that in a good way and in a bad way. Mm-hmm. You know, there was the people that was like, yo, this is so good. I deal with this right now. And then there's people who was like, see, all women are evil and this is why relationships don't work because of women.
I also, I don't know what episode we talked where I had the chance to talk about my relationship with my dad. I can't remember if that was a kickback or if that was an actual episode, but I told you that, and it was months after, but in his defense, my dad does not get on Facebook like that. But I had shared that clip on my personal Facebook page, and he happened to see it, and he texted me, you know what I'm saying? He apologized for not being there, but then he also just was like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad you're my daughter, and I just want the whole world to know that, like, whatever happened in the past, I'm here, and you made me proud. So that was a really dope moment for me, because that's something that I've never, I mean, when we got reconnected, he would tell me, you know, I'm proud of you. But, you know, just something that I rarely hear from my dad. And growing up, I think that's something that I really wanted and just didn't get. So it felt good, as I like that spoke to the little girl in me for sure.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, wait, you can't say it. I got to ask you, what was your favorite moment from this season?
I don't know if it was a favorite moment, but one of the standout moments for me was having Aaron on at Raising Boys to Men. I thought that episode was really dope. And it was a little personal for me because there's things that were said in that episode and gems that he dropped that I literally go back to present day and I reference in my personal life when I'm balancing like parenting and I'm thinking about how to parent my kids that aren't in my, you know, in the home with me, you know, and the ones that visit. So there's things that I literally have put in my pocket and it made me a better parent. I want to believe so based on that episode. So yeah, shout out to Aaron for that.
I think having Aaron on was good. The Aaron is the first connection that we've kind of like legitimately made through the podcast and was able to bring into our platforms. There's a lot of people we talk to and we engage with, but to make that connection and kind of now to see where he's going with his platform and what he's doing is really dope to just be like, yo, I know him.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It really is dope. So shout out to him. And I learned a lot from him just in general about how to like navigate networking in an effective way because he does that so well. So blessed to make that connection. So that to me, that was my standout moment.
Okay. What's something that you regret like either talking about or was like, yeah, we just shouldn't have went there?
I can't think of any conversation specifically, but I can say as much as helpful as I know they are, I hate when the episode is about us.
Really?
When it's not about a
That's
topic.
That's what people come to say.
When it's not about a topic and it's about us. When I feel like we've gotten so specific about something that's so niche to our conversation that I feel like it doesn't connect. At least that's how I feel.
I was going to say, I don't think we had any of those this season, in my opinion. I don't think we had any of those episodes. I think everything was open enough to, even if we're talking about us, other people relate to that. Like, we're not the only ones going through any situation.
I just personally don't like those. Like, I just said that, you know, I don't doubt that they're effective, but I just, to me, they just don't feel good. I know there's a reason to go there. I know we pray before we start every episode, like, hey, guide the conversation. Holy Spirit, come in. Like, you know what people need to hear. So I trust where it goes, but I'd be lying to you if I said, oh, that felt great. I don't like it. I don't like it. And then when we post the clips and people weighing in, and it's part of the game, but it's my least favorite part of it.
I've learned to pretty much ignore them. I mean, I might say something to you, but I have lost my desire to clap back. I have. It might have went away during this season, but I still lost it. I ain't say it's been gone for 10 years, like, but it is gone.
Last week?
Huh?
Last week?
I haven't replied to nobody in a smart way. Like if I reply to them now, it's more like we're having a.
You're wrong. Let me inform you of how you're wrong.
No, it's like we're having a conversation. Like, no, that's
sure.
not what happened. Because somebody said that I was. What did he say? I have an avoidant personality. Like I avoid issues. I'm like, huh? Like, okay. Like if you really knew me in real life, you know that was an absolute lie.
See, you still responding. See,
Yeah, so something like that. But I like when they say it's stuff that's insulting,
Yeah.
stuff that's rude, stuff that's really just so far off from what the truth is and what's portrayed in the clip. I'm like, okay, whatever.
so you just gotta
Y'all
go
can
to
have
you gotta go to the next page. You don't say nothing.
Nah, I don't think I'll ever be like that. I like engaging with people.
Yeah, I don't respond to none of them.
There was a comment today. This is so off subject, but matter of fact, never mind. I'm just gonna have we gonna sit down and do a TikTok video reply to it.
I need to know what it is before I consent to it.
I'll show you. I'll show you
Alright.
it's something we already talked about on here.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
I'll
like
tell you.
clapback, or is it like
No. He asked the question: do you think that women cheat better than men?
Oh, that's not even
And I
a
was
good
like-
question. That's a known fact.
And I was like, we already had this conversation, but I'd be interested to see if your opinion has changed because you did not say
Mine?
that when we talked about it. You were like, no, the problem is men cheat with women who want to expose the men, and so that's why they not good cheaters.
It's true.
It's bullcrap.
No, it's true. It's true. That the reason why women cheat. That's good, man. I'm smart. The reason why women are better cheaters than men. So I think both things are true. Women are better cheaters, and that's in large part due to the fact that the person that they usually cheat with are men.
Okay, so I'm just gonna have to clip this and make a video out of it and reply
Make a video,
to them, 'cause
but
we
get my
about to
whole.
have this
Well, let
conversation.
me go into my whole spiel, so I can make sure that my point is well represented. Because your editing sometimes be real biased.
It does not.
Be real biased. But you gonna clip out when I was
said it's
spitting.
damn bad.
So let me say what I got to say. Okay, women usually, not all the time, but usually tend to be like sex is usually more so attached to emotion.
Mm-hmm.
I think men tend to be able to have sex apart from actual feeling.
Okay.
Not all the time, but most of the time. I think because of that, a woman can cheat with a man and he won't catch feelings to the point where he trying to blow up your spot. Like, it happens sometimes, but it's rare that you'll see the dude who's slashing your tires.
He
doing
coming
all
to
that.
the other dude as a man.
You don't hear about that. Now listen here. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm saying that it is rare that it would.
Okay.
Where he comes to you as a man, like, let me just come to you, bro. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. She been seeing me and you. She been telling me she gonna leave you, and she ain't yet. Like,
Okay.
like,
Okay.
and that's because men value the sex, whereas women value the connection.
Which is one reason why women are better cheaters.
Yes, because
Okay.
you don't have to worry about not a girl. She gonna do little stuff like when you asleep after y'all get done doing what y'all do, take a picture of your back in the back of your head. And got people face that look like Tyrone. That ain't Tyrone. Look at the tattoo. They zooming in on the picture
We was
because
reviewing it like we was reviewing the R. Kelly video.
you know what I'm saying? Girls making subliminal messages like, yeah, you saying yada yada, but your man with me. Like, dudes
Okay.
normally won't do that.
Got that point. That's the only point you got?
Y'all a little more organized. So that
I'm
helps.
gonna tell you, it's not. First of all, it's not a bragging moment that women are better.
Girls is
cheaters
player too.
than- girls is players too.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's not a bragging point. Number one, but it is a fact, and I'm gonna tell you why. Number one, we pay more attention to detail than men. So we not only have the cover up, we got an alibi for the cover up. We call all of our girls to make sure our mama probably in on it.
Your mama?
Our mama is probably in on it.
That's foul. That's foul.
And we have the luxury that men kind of like sometimes being the side dude. That's a bragging point for them.
They not gonna complain. They'll stay there for years. They'll be a long-term side dude with no issues. You take her out on dates, you get her Christmas presents, all that. I just get sex. That's cool with me. That's cool with me.
And I just think that like men, y'all don't care enough, not care enough, but y'all not intuitive enough to think about the intrinsic things that come up when you cheat. Like you'll lie, but you won't tell your boy who you used as an alibi that you used him as an alibi. So now when the girl come to him and ask, he like, no, he wasn't with me. I thought it was, bam, you caught. So number one, y'all don't cover that up. Number two, girls are just, I think, like more, what's the word I want to use? We think about cheating more in the sense that we think about our dudes cheating more. So we done already created a scenario where you cheat, who you cheat with, and how you cheat. So if something in your behavior checks one of those three boxes, we gonna start investigating. We gonna become Scruff McGruff the detective, and we finding out all the information to make sure that those three boxes are the truth. And y'all didn't even think about the three boxes.
So are women better cheaters or are men just bad investigators?
No, I don't even think, like, I think the image that some men, most men have of women, it doesn't even let their mind go to the fact that your girl, like, it's a possibility that your girl could cheat on you. Like, y'all just don't look at women like that. Like, we look at y'all like that. Like,
I don't think that's accurate.
All men is dogs. He gonna cheat.
I
You know
feel
what I'm saying? But y'all don't, I mean, I don't know. I don't sit in y'all circles, but I don't get the feeling that men have a general view that women cheat.
It's usually just the guy with mommy issues. He's the one like,
lot of them
all
out
women,
there.
bro, these girls out here, bro, you can't trust none of them. These girls ain't long like it's usually that one guy that got the issues.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just something that we have in our minds, right? Every girl has thought about it about her boyfriend. Whether he is doing it or not is not even the question. Whether he's giving her a reason to think of that, it's not even the question. It's just because of the stigma that's around men that
You done that with me?
yeah, heck yeah.
I'd like to hear it.
Hear what?
You said that you already have the scenario in which you would cheat. I'd like to hear
Oh,
that
for sure, 100%.
in your mind. What is
In
that
the studio.
scenario? In the studio?
I mean, it don't got to be in the studio, but that's probably where you met the girl. Y'all was flirting back and forth, kiki and ha, and you know, I'm thinking you at the studio, but the session done ended and y'all somewhere else. Period.
Let me not dilly dally at these sessions. Tell the engineer, I gotta go, bro.
Period. That's why I be like, okay, he's still there.
Don't let that location come off while I'm at the studio. Lord. Yeah, I've never done that.
I've never
envisioned a scenario
Point
in which you cheat
proven.
on me. Let me do it now.
No, let's not.
You are at
It's got to be realistic.
work.
Okay.
I can't think of any other place
Exactly.
you go. Where else you go?
But see, this is what I'm saying. First of all, I'm just innocent. I don't go nowhere at the grocery store. That's it. I'm innocent. I'm just saying you got more opportunities because you be running around town.
I don't run around town. I don't run
That's my
around
story, and
town.
I'm sticking to it.
Dang.
Yeah.
Fellas, so what we got to learn here is you have to imagine that your girl is cheating and come up with the scenario in which she is cheating so that when it starts to look like the scenario that you've already thought of in your head, it sets off the internal alarm clock that you need to start investigating.
At least ask some questions, but y'all be so oblivious that it's not even in your mind that she's cheating. So she out here doing her thing,
I just feel like
and you think you got an angel.
it's just my image of women. I just
See,
can't.
listen,
Yeah.
you just keep hitting on my points.
I just be feeling like the girls that be cheating like that be hurt.
It's okay. Her daddy was not there. Like, that's why she cheating on you, bro.
I just
It's
feel
all
like
right.
the girls that do it, like she got cheated or like somebody
Not the truth.
turn her to the evil, to the dark side.
That's not the truth. But
So-
it does help women who want to cheat. That stigma or that, what is it called? What's it called?
So you don't
Stereotype.
So you don't believe that there's one gender who's more apt to cheat.
No. I really think it's equal. I think it's 50-50. Men cheat just as much as women cheat.
I don't believe that.
Okay.
Now, no, let me.
'Cause you're a man.
No, let me rephrase that. Culturally, these days, right now, that is more than likely true. I'm more speaking on just the core, right? Like throughout history.
Oh, we can't go back that far. We can't do all that.
Throughout history, we got a podcast. We're only 19 minutes in. Why can't we?
What we got to deal with what we dealing with right now, and this is modern times. Yeah, when the women just stayed in the house and all that. Okay, cool.
Even where we're at now, we wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for where we came from. So you can't talk about now.
You can't use them statistics.
I'm not using statistics. All I said was back then you said we can't do that. I ain't even saying what I'm gonna say.
Deal with the present.
I ain't even saying what I was gonna say. It. What I'm saying is throughout history, like when you see men, I see a pattern, and not just here where we're at, I'm talking just all over the world, where men are more apt to have more than one woman. Now, of course, now it's frowned upon, but I'm talking about all the way from concubines to, multiple wives to like you. It's rare that you see the woman with multiple partners. I remember we saw.
Because we're smart.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But there's it warrants more thought to say, okay, why is that you see that more? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's the hunter-gatherer situation, like where that people think, and it's probably a little bit true, that is an innate desire in men to hunt, to acquire women, to go out and be on a prowl, right? And women kind of stay at home, and we're more wholesome. So that's the image that is portrayed in the media. It's the image that you're referring to from way back then. The men went out in the world. They could really do whatever they want, and the women stayed at home. And even though times have changed, those stereotypes still exist in our head. Like, I've heard plenty of men say that it is unnatural for a man to be monogamous. Because, and it's like, that helps perpetuate the belief that men are dogs and men are going to cheat or going to seek multiple partners because it's just something that's in them. But I really believe that women cheat just as much as men cheat. It's just not laid out in the open like that, number one, because women will just get a bad rap for it.
Yeah, and I want to be clear on my position because I'm not insinuating or landing even so much on the idea that it's unnatural for a man to be with one woman. But I am saying that there probably is a reason why men are able to have those type of relationships, and it can be a norm in society. Like we found that I can't even remember what the name of this culture was, but there's a sect of Asian women, and there's a society that's a matriarchal society, right, where most of the world is patriarchal. It's built on the man being the head, and there's a society in Asia. Man, I wish I had the name, but women are the head of this culture. The woman has a man for an extended period of time. After that, like he goes back to live with his mama house. But even in that society, I found it so interesting that even in a society that's built on the whims and desires of women, there is no multiple men. Like it's not even a. That blows my mind.
I think before we had this conversation, we probably should have put like a disclaimer out that we are in no way condoning cheating. We're just talking about the dynamics of men and women in the scenario.
For sure.
But I think that the societal views. What you pause? It's like
I didn't pause.
We don't have no dialogue. It's just monologue.
I didn't pause. You put a disclaimer in it before I could finish my thought.
Please continue.
All I was saying is that. What I'm trying to paint the picture of is that there might be a reason why in society men are more comfortable being in these positions. I don't think it's natural, nor do I think it's what the Lord wants or it condones, but men are more comfortable in that, right? I don't think in a perfect world, if even in society right now, women could run the world, I don't think that would be the norm.
Well, if it was a switch from what the quote unquote norm is right now, there is no normal. Everything is normal to these people, but norm, like the view of a woman is like meek and demure and wholesome, and you just don't do those things. So even if there are women who find men who are okay with being in polygamous relationships or whatever. It's just not often talked about because what society will focus on, the people will focus on, is the woman and her being a whore or slut or whatever, when it's just not that for men. The truth is that when it comes to sex, there is still a huge bias on women who are free in their sexuality. And I don't say it's always going to be like that, but it's been like that for ages, and it ain't much too much ain't changed. It's the same reason why you just had that conversation with me upstairs. Did you hear how they going in on B. Simone? Why ain't they going in on Rotimi? They went in on Kiki.
I didn't see nothing about
They
B.
didn't go in on Usher.
I didn't see nothing about B. Simone. Everybody was talking about Rotimi in the comments.
Well, when you came to me, you said, "Did you see how everybody is going in on B. Simone?"
I was just talking about the clip. I wasn't saying necessarily like that it was about her. I said B. Simone and what's his name? Because I couldn't think of his name. I just couldn't think of Rotimi's name. But the comments were like, ain't he married? Ain't he this? Ain't he that? There was like a couple comments were like, all right, her hand need to be a little bit higher. But I mean, it's innocent though. That's what they were saying.
They will come for the women 100 times before they come for the men.
For sure.
So I think it's just what we deal with in that society.
So if that's the case, then why is the perception that all men are dogs?
What do you mean?
If you're
I just
saying
think it's
that,
more acceptable. Like, women are calling the men dogs, but I do think it's more acceptable for you to take on the idea that men will cheat, men will flee, than it is for a woman.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's all I was saying.
I agree.
It's too long to clip it for this man, but hopefully he watching, get his question answered.
You can chop it up a little bit, make it work.
Yeah, but I don't know. It caught me up. It didn't catch me off guard. It caught my interest because it was a conversation that we had previously, and I wanted to know if your opinion had changed. And it sounds like it did a little bit. Or at least you're more willing to acquiesce to the fact that women are better cheaters.
Yeah, no, I don't think my dispute was that y'all aren't. I just think I have a difference as to why. I don't think it's because I think the perception is, ooh, we just all that. Nah, I just think y'all.
It's not all that to cheat. It's not a bragging point.
I think men are probably the reason why y'all such good cheaters. I think we throw y'all a layup a lot of times, make it real easy for y'all. Your biggest points was we don't be looking for y'all to cheat.
Y'all know.
We don't investigate good. Mm-hmm. And when we the ones that you cheating with, we ain't saying nothing. There you go. Alley-oop.
All points for the women.
Look here. Meanwhile, when we try to cheat, y'all making it rather difficult. Y'all investigating.
Nobody should cheat.
The side girl is over here and she tripping. She trying to come to you as a woman.
Sure.
This is why y'all just need to keep it at home.
This Barbara.
This is why y'all just need to keep it at home. See what tangle where we weave.
Yeah, just keep your stuff in your pants. It's much easier that way. Life is easier to manage when you're just messing with one person.
Lord,
I promise.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so I think this was our best season. I think our conversations have naturally evolved over time to where it, at least for me, like in the beginning, it felt really not contrived but forced to have like a natural conversation sitting here kind of looking at the camera, kind of looking at you, it was just awkward. I think I've kind of settled in, and I think our conversations flow more natural than they ever have in the past, which is to be expected, I guess.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I feel comfortable. I am at the point now where it's like, when we have a niche podcast, we talk about relationships. It is a while where I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself. And I don't like that.
Yeah, you got to make sure you don't double back and say something against what you said before.
I ain't worried about that.
In episode 2, because the people remember. Lord, y'all can remember some stuff about these podcasts. Me and Russell will have these conversations and forget them until somebody be like, you remember that one episode when you said, and I be trying to remember so tough in my head. Like when we sat down with your cousin Chaz, I had no idea what episode he was talking about in them on that live. But I was like, yeah. I ain't know what he was talking about. I don't remember the comment. I don't remember none of that. Sorry, Chaz.
You just got to be authentic that way. You don't got to worry about tripping up. Look here. Yeah, nah. So it was a good season. I'm glad to close it out. And I'm also glad to come back a little bit better, a little bit bigger.
Yeah, a little more profesh.
There you go. I'm excited. And I'm tired of editing these videos. The idea of a producer just sounds amazing to me.
Yeah. Shout out to Ryan again. We've shouted him out probably the last 2 episodes. But
You might as well keep saying
just gotta say it again. Thank you, brother, for helping us out.
I'm giving him a microphone next season. Look here.
Let Ryan start talking.
Chime in, brother. What you got to
It's
say?
not about to be 2 against 1. Yeah, I ain't about to get
Because the whole time, last episode, every time you say something, here we go, nodding his head. I said,
that's why Ryan's scared of me.
No,
he gotta agree. Every time he see me, he be like, I'm scared of her.
No, he was legitimately agreeing with you after the episode. He was like, I was feeling Brandy when she said, what?
He know he got.
Whose side is you on, brother? Come on, what are we doing here?
He gotta say that. He is so frightened of me. I'm like, I'm such a teddy bear. You do not have to be scared of me.
Nah, he should be afraid.
Rude.
So, closing out this season, there was a conversation that I saw online, and I actually brought it to Brandy a couple days ago to get her take on it. She immediately was like, stop, save it for the podcast. Like, this is a good conversation.
I don't know, you act like we talk about deep stuff now outside of the podcast. I don't know why you fronting.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it.
Talk about kids, work.
I made her stop talking to me like 15 minutes before we recorded. She was like,
business.
save it for the podcast. You sound like you finna say something deep.
Now in this break, we can go back to having our deep conversations. But when this recording
I don't
time,
wanna,
look, the material's getting thin. We got to save our deep conversations for when the microphone is hot.
I don't want to talk deep no more. I just be wanting to watch TV now. When we get all these microphones, like, don't talk to me. What you want to eat?
I don't care about your feelings.
What you want to eat? Did you see what they posted on the Shade Room today? Let's keep it real surface here.
But yeah, so you got to at least set up the clip before you play it. It's a clip. It's been going on the internet a while. I've seen several clips actually from this conversation, and it's cool because it kind of reminds me of us. It's just 2 people. I don't know if they were a couple or not, but sitting down, talking about love and life. And this is back in probably the 70s, maybe, when they were having this conversation. So some of the language, just so you know, when it comes, it's like
jive. It's James Baldwin and
Nikki Giovanni.
2 brilliant minds, artists, also activists. And they had an interesting conversation. Like, this is podcasting before podcasting.
Right, absolutely.
I don't even know what program this was, but they were spitting. And they brought up an interesting dynamic that I think speaks to what a lot of us deal with in relationships, but I don't think we put the language to it that it needs. So I'm interested to do that today on the podcast. So I'm gonna play the clip. Warning, you already talked about the language, not bad language, but just we'll pair it. We'll bring it home when we talk about it.
I love you. I can't lie to you.
Of course you can lie to me, and you will. If you love me and you're going off with Maddie someplace, you're lying to me. Because what the hell do I care about the truth? I care if you're there. What Billie Holiday say, hush now, don't explain.
All right, I accept that.
Of course
All right,
you'll lie to me,
accept
because I don't even want to care. What does the truth matter? And why are you going to be truthful with me when you lie to everybody else? You lied when you smiled at that cracker down the job, right? Lie to me, smile. Treat me the same way you would treat him.
I can't treat you the way I treat him.
You must. Because I've caught the frowns and the anger. He's happy with you. Of course he doesn't know you're unhappy. You grin at him all day long. You come on when I catch hell. Because I love you, I get least of you. I get the very minimum. And I'm saying, fake it with me. Is that too much of the black woman to ask of the black man? For 10 years, so that we can get a child on his feet that says, yeah, father smiled at mother.
If I love you, I can't lie to you.
That was a clip. Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
What we should have did is really just study what both sides said, and we should have just played it like them was our words, and that we came up with that.
No. I seen that clip before. Y'all so fake.
They'd be like, "Oh, they spit."
So for the sake of just bringing it home for those of you guys who might not have understood what this conversation is about, they're having a conversation that's specific to the black experience in the 70s, but I think it's not limited to race. I think it can apply to anybody.
Frame.
Yeah, or a time frame in general. But they're talking about being unhappy with life conditions, right? Whether that be the job you work at, stuff you're dealing with in the world. And most of us, when we're in those dynamics, we do it with a smile. Mm-hmm. We go out there. We don't show people what we're going through. We don't show people how unhappy we are with certain conditions that we live in. But the people that we're with, that we're most comfortable with, we give them our authentic selves, what we feel. And sometimes in that, they get the grunt of what we feel, right? And her perspective, I thought, was really interesting.
Yeah, because she was pretty much saying, like, you pretend when you out in the street, so pretend here with me. Like, I want to feel happy. I want to feel loved. I don't want you to come home every day and just dump on me, and all the emotions that you've had pent up now come out to me because you're home and you're comfortable. Like, where's the space for us to enjoy each other? And if you have to pretend to do that, then do that.
Because I love you, I get the least of you.
Yeah, that was a bar.
That's how you know you just talking to poets and whatnot. Like, I thought that was amazing.
That was a bar. So, a couple things that I took from this episode. One, like, why are we not just naturally sitting down and having more conversations like that? I thought that was just a really dope thing to see, that back then they were having, and they were talking like that. They was talking good to each other. Conversations now are just yelling and screaming and nobody getting their point across, but they were having like a deep, really detailed, meaningful conversation just sitting there. Number two, I think there's one part of the conversation where she says, because I love you, I get the least of you. And she's asking him to come home and pretend, you know. So I thought about those scenarios, and when like I lied to you because I love you, where that's been like an excuse where you pretend to be so happy, and because you love somebody and you don't want them to feel unloved, you don't want them to feel used, you don't want them to feel disrespected. So like, it's like, I'm just gonna lie to you. Like, I'm not gonna tell you the truth so we can keep this happy picture. And this was like the direct opposite of that. She's saying like, look, I need you to lie to me. For the sake of our relationship, I need you to come in here and pretend so that we can be happy. And it's just not this version of you all the time that I have to deal with.
I think she said it so profoundly, and I disagree with her.
Really?
Yes, I do. Like, this is the thing with people who talk really well. They could sell you something like, man. Now, I think that the reality of what she was experiencing in that dynamic, I agree that she shouldn't have to deal with that. I don't think her solution is good. I don't agree with her solution.
Mm-hmm. You shouldn't have to pretend.
Yes. The truth of the matter is, and I'm pretty sure it was different back then, right? There were some conditions that the African American experience provided that you couldn't escape from, right? Modern day, there's a little bit more autonomy over our experience than there was back then.
True. A little bit.
So present day, I want to make sure I'm gathering my thoughts right so I don't misspeak. Present day, if there's something that's going on in the world that I live in, maybe a job I don't feel respected on, maybe something that's going on in my family, there are more options for me to fix what's going on. And instead of saying, stay in that condition, but fake it with me, I don't want to. That's good for you, but it's not good for me. Right? Like, right. I'm holding my breath all day at work trying to fake the smile. Now you're asking me to continue the shroud when I get here. And you're like, yeah, you doing with them, but I care about the truth. Maybe you don't care about the truth. I care about the truth. I don't want to come into my home and have to lie. I don't want to live the same lie I'm living at the job that I got to live here. The real question should be, okay, do I take that out on you? That's what's wrong. I shouldn't be taking that out on you. So let's fix that. But don't ask me to be inauthentic, because I don't want to be with somebody I got to fake it with.
I agree in some aspects. Like, I understand what she was trying to say. And I guess I didn't take it necessarily at face value where she's saying like, I want you to pretend with me. Like, well, I think what she's saying at the core is like, I want us to have a happy, healthy relationship, and I need you to do what you need to do so that we can have that. And for example, like what was coming to my mind was like the racial unrest and the racial tension that we just lived through when we were going through COVID and police shootings and all of that. Where at work, you're not in an upheaval about police brutality and black men dying on the streets and all this. But when you come home and it's on the news and you have to explain it to your kids, and now you're just in a posture where you're just upset and angry at the state of the world, and maybe we just want to sit down and have a good dinner. But because you don't have the space to talk about that in the world, the only space that you have to talk about that is in your home. Now we get that angry side of you, and sometimes it's hard to transition out of that. And I think what she was saying is like, just do a little bit of pretending so that we can feel good when you come home. Like, if you're upset, cool, but here I need you to take off the upset and just be the man that we need you to be in the family. I think that's what she was saying.
She ain't say that.
I mean, that's literally what I got from it. She's not saying.
She literally said, "What do I care about the truth? You fake it with the crackers down there at the job. Come and fake it with me. No, you were smiling all day on your job, and then you come here and I get frowns.
Yeah,
that's the truth is, I'm sad. This is a man. Now I want to be, because this is the same reality that a lot of men live in that doesn't give them the ability to express emotions. You're sad, but I don't want to deal with you being sad. I don't want to be in the house with somebody who's sad and mad. So you go to your job, and even though you're sad, you still put on a smile on your face and do your job. Come here and jive with me. Fake it with me.
I don't think that word that's any different than what I said.
You're saying like you were saying that it's like more so expressing and coming home, having conversations about what you're doing within the world. Like
not necessarily conversations about it, but the only place that you can feel the true weight of what's happening in the world is here at home, because it's your safe space. You know what I'm saying? So if that makes you upset, if that makes you angry, and when you come home, like, we just want to kick it and chill out, but you're also angry and upset about what's happening in the world, and you haven't had the space to express that outside of your home. Like, sometimes you got to put that aside. You got to pretend so that we can have a good night.
Yeah.
We do that all the time.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree that that's the course of action.
I mean, of course, I think, especially nowadays, in this same scenario where we do still have unarmed shootings of black people, where we have police brutality, a lot of us that work in corporate America especially don't, or feel like we can't have those conversations at work, but the things are really happening and the feelings are still there. And when I come home, I want to talk about it and I get emotional about it, but I do at some point have to cut those things off and just be mom or just be wife, because that's what y'all need from me.
Yeah.
And it is, in some sort of way, it's not necessarily pretending, but it might be ignoring what you feel inside so that the people you love don't just get the worst of you, they also still get the good parts of you.
Yeah. So I think what's important to talk about is that we're not talking about just an isolated incident of something that happened on the job that day. We're talking about just the reality that I don't like where my life is right now. Mm-hmm. It's not just something that happened one day and I want to come on and talk about it, but I'm act like I don't. I'm talking about you just don't like your life. Mm-hmm. You're like the state of your life right now. And when that's a reality, I don't think that it's a good course of action to advocate that you pretend. You know what I'm saying? I think the course of action should be to have, like, because really, if you have a better at your job, you, in my perfect scenario, mm-hmm. you can come talk to me about it, mm-hmm. vent, and we find a way to resolve. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I was unhappy at my job, the job I had, there was so many days I came home and vent to you in frustration to the point where you got tired of hearing it.
Absolutely.
The real key for me was you telling me, hey, it's time for you to go. Right? And now the state of affairs changes for me. Right? I don't stay there and continue to come home angry and mad at you. But say I don't have any options. Say that's the only job I can work. I don't want to come fake it.
To me, okay. Of course, we didn't hear the whole audio of the whole interview, but if we put this in modern times, like I don't expect that to be a all the time occurrence where you have to pretend. But there are some scenarios where, and it's not just a man thing, it's a woman thing, where what you're feeling in this specific scenario at this specific time does not matter more than what's happening in our family. It doesn't matter more than what's happening in our house. It doesn't matter more than your desire to just treat me like a decent human being would treat me. And if the way that you feel about yourself, about your present circumstance is affecting that, I wholeheartedly am an advocate for pray about it and go get some therapy. Yeah. But in the meantime, while you're still a mess and you're working out what you're dealing with, the solution is not to come home and be angry or be sad or be upset with me. Sometimes you got to pretend. It's reality. When you're sad and you're frustrated, when I was going through my divorce and I was feeling all of the feelings, all the rage, all the anger, all the sadness, I couldn't dump that on my kids. I had to pretend.
Yeah, but see, that's a relationship with children.
But even if I had a significant other and my mom died, God forbid, and I'm feeling those emotions, I can't be a ball of mess with you. There's a time period for that. But if I'm still dealing with the grieving process and it's a year later and we can't celebrate Mother's Day, we can't celebrate Christmas, we can't celebrate Thanksgiving because all of that reminds me of my mom and I get sad, that's not fair to you.
Is it fair to you?
It's not, but I'm saying in the process when you're trying to, first of all, you have to get help. Like, I'm not advocating for not getting help, but I'm just saying that sometimes your feelings and your emotions, and this is coming from somebody who admittedly is not the queen of emotions, I master in bottling that up, shutting that off until the appropriate time. But I do feel like at some point, what you feel in the inside when you're working on getting that and changing that and fixing that, in the meantime, you still have to be a decent human being to the people that you are responsible for.
Yeah. So if we're talking about taking out your negative feelings on the people you love, of course, I'm not talking about being a less quality human being because you're going through something, but I am not an advocate for bottling up what you feel for the sake of a moment like Mother's Day. If your mother's died and you're upset and you're feeling things as your husband, I don't want you to bottle it up so I can let me finish my thought.
I am.
You were about to say so. But I don't want you to bottle that up for the sake of being concerned about my Mother's Day experience. The general instinct for most of us when we feel negative feelings is to shut down, is to bottle that down, because nobody wants to feel bad. Nobody wants to experience those feelings. So it's almost instinctual to not let those things out, right? But I think the person that you're with should be your safe space, not to be a punching bag. But if there's anybody in the world that you can feel authentically what you feel in that moment, that's okay. Yes, a board meeting at work, maybe that's not the time for you to moan your mind. Maybe you might need to hold it till you get out. Maybe you need to wait till you get home. But you telling me you can't feel in the boardroom, but then when you come home to your house, you can't do that with your husband, or I can't do that with my wife. I wouldn't want to live in that experience. So with therapy, with Jesus, with prayer, you also have the people that you love. And when we talk about the spousal relationship, when we talk about the marital relationship, to me, I don't look at those emotions as a negative. If you're sad and you're going through something, I don't care about dinner. Like, if you feeling something, like, let's work through that. Like, you bottling it up and faking it for me, I'm sure will provide a great experience for me for that moment. What we don't see, though, what's going on as a result of that, a repeated cycle of you bottling up and not expressing what you're going through, is eventually going to be the side effects. Now, when the side effects happen, we don't know why. Man, you just been there. Man, I'm fine. What's going on, man? Or you're triggered in a way, and we don't know why. But it's because for the last 3 months, you've been coming home from a job where you're disrespected, and you don't want to inconvenience me with your feelings, so you're bottling that in. You're holding it in. You don't want to convenience me with your grief or whatever it is. We're inconvenienced with the people that we love's emotions. But when you sign up to do life with somebody, you sign up to do life with not just who they are, but what they're going through, what they've been through. You know what I'm saying? Like, if my son comes upstairs crying, am I going on too long? You're getting upset. If my son comes upstairs crying, I'm not, stop crying. Look, hush up, stop. No. What's going on? Let's get to the root of what's happening. But I'm not just on a mission to shut down the emotion because I'm uncomfortable with that expression. You get what I'm trying to say?
I do. I think that it's not all or nothing. And I think in the scenario you just painted, it feels very all or nothing. It doesn't have to be all the time, right? Yeah. That this occurs. But there are times where it has to occur because your life still goes on. I gave you those scenarios when you don't feel great about yourself. You don't feel great about the things that are happening in your life, but you still have a life. You still have a spouse, and you can be working on making those things better. But in the process of making them better, there's still issues there. There's still feelings of, I don't like this there. And if I'm that all the time and you're just giving me space to be that, that's a miserable experience for you. This is I'm grieving my mother-in-law. I lost my mother, and I cannot find a way to push through that to give you the love and the affection that you need.
Give me the scenario where you need to fake it with me instead of feeling what you're going through. Your mother died. Mm-hmm. One of the most primary relationships that a person can have, that person is dead. Give me the scenario that calls for you to not feel that and fake it with me.
It's not feeling it. It's just
the
that
fake it.
To me, in this scenario, right? If something bad, tragic happens. That's just, I'm feeling uncomfortable with talking about my mother dying.
Whatever the situation is.
But. And I mean, it's really affecting me. Case in point, let's talk about a real scenario. When I was struggling with where I was spiritually, mm-hmm. I'm going through it, and I just don't feel good about me, about where I am, about what's happening. I'm trying to work that out internally because it's a me thing. Like, I can confide in you, but really I got to figure that out for me. I got to figure out what makes me feel good about where I am on my spiritual walk. I am visually, emotionally withdrawn from you. You feel that. This is now a painful experience for you as you were my boyfriend at the time, my fiance. You're like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on with you. You feel like you're feeling like unwanted. You're feeling like I don't want to be bothered with you, that I'm withdrawn because I'm dealing with something. If that's happening, that can't continue to just be your reality. Sometimes I have to push aside those feelings and still function as a person, just like I did when I was at work. Because when I was at work, I wasn't like, oh. it was when I came home and I didn't have those same pressures. But when I saw that it was affecting you, I had to fake it until I figured it out.
What was affecting me more so is because I didn't know what was happening.
Agreed.
It wasn't that you were going through something. It's that I'm in the dark about it. So if I don't know what's going on and I'm just seeing something going on, and when I'm coming to you, I don't have the language that says, man, I'm dealing with this. That's more of, you know what I'm saying? So when I did have the language, it made it easier to deal with. But we're not saying different things. I'm putting more emphasis on one thing than the other. I'm not denying that there are times that it won't be convenient, but I am saying that I can't think of a more safer place than the person you're with. So
I agree. It just doesn't make for a great experience.
I think the ramifications of trying to have a good experience momentarily versus the long-term effects of not dealing with what you're feeling with, especially when you're in a marriage, there's no time you're not with me. What experience? Okay, so what part are you not worried about my experience, and when are you concerned about yours? Because we're together 24/7. When you get off of work, when you come to this house, you and me.
Which is why I'm saying it's not an all or nothing scenario.
Yeah, I'm saying it's more so of
you got to fix it. It can't be a permanent state. It's not a permanent state of just shutting off your emotions.
Yeah.
You have to find the root of what's bothering you and do what you need to do to fix it. I'm just saying, in the meantime, while you're working on fixing it, there will be some circumstances where you have to pretend. And I
can't, that's what I'm trying to figure out. What does that look like? That's what I cannot form in my head. If we're sitting down watching a movie, you get sad and you feel an unction to cry. I'm just giving a scenario.
I hear you, but I just think you're making it too plain.
I'm just trying to picture what it looks like, because I cannot picture a scenario where you're feeling things and it's better to not to feel them.
Have you ever dealt with depression? Like legitimate depression?
No.
Maybe that's why. There are times where if you're depressed, if your sadness is getting the better of you, where you don't feel like doing anything. You want to be in the bed. You don't want to eat. You don't want to shower. You don't want to talk to anybody. You just want to sit and you don't want to, but you feel like all you can do is sit in that feeling, that sadness, that anxiety, that frustration, whatever it is.
Okay.
But life requires you to still be a mom. Life requires you to still be a wife. Life requires you to still be an employee. Those are scenarios where even internally where you feel like, I don't want to do none of this.
So this is barring medical, like a depression is like if you're bipolar, if you're depressed, if you have anxiety, we're not talking about clinical.
There are scenarios, there are situations that
situational depression
that make you go through that. When I had my 2 miscarriages, that is all I felt like doing. Yeah. I didn't want to be bothered with my own children.
Yeah.
But I had to. So I had to pretend that I was okay so that it did not affect their experience as my children.
This is what I'm trying to figure out.
And my boyfriend at the time.
What does that look like for me? That's what I'm trying to picture. What does that paint the scenario for me? All right, I had a miscarriage. I'm upset. I'm hurt. What is the scenario where you're faking it? What's happening? Are we at dinner? What's the experience that you don't want to ruin?
Maybe I just got to get up and cook. And I don't feel like that.
Okay.
Maybe you want to have sex. And I don't feel like that either. Maybe you want to take me out on a date. And I don't feel like that.
And maybe this is specific to me. I don't even want the sex that you don't want.
But it's not that a person doesn't want it. It's not that plain and simple.
If you're upset, and because you're upset, you don't have a desire to have sex. Not saying you don't desire me, but in this moment you don't feel like it because you're going through something. I don't want that sex.
Yeah, I think that's very specific to you.
So I'm speaking as me right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm drawn to what's real. Like for us right now, even us in our real life chapter of our marriage, what we're dealing with right now.
Mm-hmm.
we were having, not to go too deep into it, but we were having a conversation that's a little bit touching this, right? Where we're talking about one of our experience in the relationship, right? I had this thought today. Even if I would just love the version of you that's had a great day today and you just won a little bit of a lottery, so you got a little money and you whistling Dixies and you in your goofy mood, you know what I mean? Like those days when you're just Brandy who had a drink from Big B and you like turned up. I love that version of you. But you know what I realized today? I love it because that's really you in that moment. If you came every day in that version of you and it wasn't really what you felt in that moment, but you were just doing it to appease me, I don't even think I would like it that much. And here's the truth. I can feel it. We're that connected that when it's not real, I can feel it. And I had that revelation today that I don't want a version of you that I prefer just because I prefer it if it's not real. Now, this might be very specific to me.
I think it is.
I think
like
what's
you.
authentic draws people. This platform ain't what it is if it's not authentic.
Absolutely.
Nothing is what it is without authenticity. Like that dude that drops a song, it could be a banger. But if it ain't real, it ain't gonna last. He got that one hit and he up out of here after that, right? It's what's from the heart reaches the heart, right? And I think the intensity of it is specific to me, but I think the heart of this is human.
Can I say something about that, please, on that specifically? Because it's not, from someone who's been in this space, it's not that it's inauthentic. My deep love for the people around me motivates me to push outside of my feelings sometimes because I love y'all.
Yeah.
Because I want our experiences to be great, because I want y'all to have the best version of me. Sometimes when I don't feel like that version, I still muster up the strength, thanks to God, to be that person because y'all need that. And it's not a necessary a pretend. It's just at this point, what I'm feeling can't take precedence over who I love.
Yeah. The part, and this is what I disagree with what she was saying, and this is just my thoughts. I don't think when you're going through that you now transport to a lesser version of yourself, depending on who you are. Now, some people, when they're going through things, they're abusive. Some people, when they're going through things, are hurtful. They're spiteful. They're when they're hurt, they hurt. Right? The old adage, hurt people hurt people. Now, for those people, yes. Okay. But when you being hurt just means that you're not putting on a show, like now, once again, I'm not talking about being a parent because I get that, right? I've been a dad where I broke down crying because I wanted to do for my kids, but I couldn't, right? Or I was like, oh, let's go to McDonald's. We go to McDonald's. I swipe the card and it's declined. I don't got food at the house. I go home. I'm looking in the drawers like, okay, what can I do? I'm trying to channel my grandma. What can I hear to make a meal out of? And going in the bathroom and crying and still coming out playing hide and seek with them. So I get that aspect as a parent.
It happens in a marriage too.
That's what I'm not seeing. So for me, what I am saying though is I agree with you. It's not all or nothing. But for me, if it's anybody in the world that I want you to go through that with, it's me. I don't want you to give me the version that keeps me happy, but then leaves you dealing with your negative emotions by yourself. That's just me.
Yeah, no, I think that's why the very first keynote is you got to work on it. If you're upset, you got to do, or hurt or depressed, or you got to work on it.
But not alone.
No.
You don't have to do that alone. And I think that's just where I'm putting the emphasis on, because the average person, especially people who have a tendency to people please, they take all of that, deal with it on the back burner. Like this show we watching right now, Ted Lasso. Who's your nail tech put us on today? What's her name? Twa put us on Ted Lasso on Apple TV, and it's a dope show. But it's this coach who coaches soccer. Long story short, he's going through a whole bunch, but to everybody, he's just Mr. Positivity. He's always got an expression. He's Mr. Brightside, but he's having anxiety attacks because all of the negative stuff that he's going through, he doesn't know how to deal with it. And he ain't talking to nobody about it because he's Mr. Positivity to everybody else. And for people like that, now this isn't everybody, but for the average person, we have a tendency to swallow hurt for the sake of presenting the version of ourselves that is most acceptable to people. I'm just saying that if there's anybody in the world who you should be able to present to you when you're not your 100% best, it should be the person you're with. And that's like, I think after our conversation, that's something that I've been replaying in my head. Like, what am I communicating to her? What am I saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think in a marriage, I wholeheartedly agree. Like, it shouldn't be anyone on the outside before it's your person. And what I think relationships lack is the space to do that. You're so used to the version of that person that they've always been that when they're not that person, you don't give them the space to work that out because all you do is mourn the version of them that you used to have. This is the plight of the strong friend.
I need gunshots. I need an explosion. What you just said. I wish I had a button that I could hit to just really emphasize how much you spitting right now. Can you say? Do you remember what you just said?
I don't. But
like, I want to get that tattooed. That was good.
This is the plight of the strong friend. And, we hear about it all the time. And as a self-professed, and it ain't even self-professed, my friends put that on me too. Being the strong one, like where everybody comes to you with their stuff, that when you have stuff, you have nowhere to go. Because everybody is looking at you to be the strong one. It is the plight of a single mom where you just gotta get down and grind and take care of your kids and your family, whether your husband died or whether the baby daddy just left you. It's all on you now. And whatever you feel about that, you can't live in because the world around you is still moving. Yes, with your spouse, if you have one, or your significant other, you should have the space to do that. The problem is, I don't think a lot of people know how to create that space and how to go on that journey with someone. And so sometimes you just have to pretend until you can get there yourself, or you can get the help that you need, so that the people around you don't also suffer because you're going through something. Again, not always. I should be able to come to you and say, today, I had a really bad day. I put on my outfit and my body dysmorphic issues kicked right in. So I don't want you to touch me. I don't want you to kiss me. And I don't want to cuddle tonight because I feel fat and I feel disgusting. Without you trying to fix that and without you feeling like you're being rejected. The truth is, a lot of people can't have that conversation in their relationships because they're either in a relationship with a fixer, or they're in a relationship with somebody whose needs and desires surpass the person that they're in a relationship with. And that's the reality for some people. And that's why a lot of people learn how to pretend until they can get better. It's just the reality.
So in those scenarios, like, would you just not want me to be like, okay? In that scenario, the one you just painted out, if you were to tell me that, you just want to be like, okay.
Yeah, there are some times where I want you to say, and this is the thing, because you can't predict that, right? There are some times when I need you to say, babe, you look good. And even though I grunt you off or whatever, I heard you. But some days you're like, I need you to be like, it's cool, I understand that. But if we being completely honest,
yeah,
before we had our conversation, I would have never said that to you. Because what I'm thinking about in my head is that's going to communicate rejection to him. And because of his issues and what he's had to deal with, I don't want to do anything that verbally communicates rejection to him. So I can't say this to him. I can't say I don't want you to touch me, because that's his love language. And if I say that, he's going to take that as I don't want to be bothered with him. When that's really not what I feel. It's just me. It's just what I'm going through that day. It's just one of them days. But we're not allowed to have them.
I want you to be able to have those.
I want to be able to have them too.
And I feel like you should be able to have those with me. I want to be able to have that conversation. And I don't think we'll know if we can have that unless you give me a chance.
I hear you.
This is funny. My dad called me today. You heard the conversation, but for those of y'all who don't know, my dad, there was like maybe a year span. He just had this god awful haircut. I'm just telling how I feel.
It wasn't that bad.
It was a god awful fade. It was awful fade that he had, and never really brought it up or nothing. But we had a family road trip, and he finally asked me. He said, "What you think about my hair?" And I said, "Oh, thank you." That's what I told myself. I don't like it. Now, when I told him that, I was like, this is what's going on. Like, you got to fade into the hair. Like, you got to taper into the fade. You can't just go bald into like hair on top of your head.
You got that. What's the black boy name from Hey Arnold?
The Reggie?
I'm sorry.
Wow, Dad, if you listen to this.
Well,
this
you just told him it was god awful. And
I told him that to his face, so that ain't no smoke.
All I said is it looked like the boy from Hey Arnold. That's not good nor bad.
Look,
it's just a fact.
It's true. So when I was talking to him, he said, "Yeah, I don't like it either." I said, "Huh?" He was like, "Yeah, I keep telling him how I want it, but he don't do it like that." I said, "So why do you keep going back?" He said, "Well, he's my buddy. I like he's my friend." That told me something there, but I was like, okay, this ain't the time. He didn't give me the space to interject. He called me today and told me he went to another barber. While he's getting his cut, his old barber walks in, catches him barber cheating on him. My dad felt really bad about that. And he was like, "Son, why do I feel bad about this?" And long story short, I said, people like me and you have a tendency to people please, right? That a lot of the value that we think we hold with people is largely based on the performance we put on for them, right? My dad is a professional football player, so he's conditioned that way. His contracts, everything he did in the community, his value was based on his performance. When you've been groomed in that way, it kind of teaches you to value other people's experience in scenarios versus your own, right? But this is what I said to him. I said, "Dad, you know what's a thought that will free you up from that?" And I referenced the experience that I had with my job that I left with your help. If you stop getting your hair cut by him and he no longer is your friend,
he wasn't your friend to begin with.
That's a large indication that he didn't love you. He loved what he got from you. And for people who are textbook people pleasers, you'll be okay with that. Like, you won't even see an issue with that. Yeah, no, like, it's cool. Like what I do for you. But when you learn to love you, you'll start caring about your experience in this scenario just as much as this. I want authentic friendships. I want an authentic relationship. So if you can't be my friend without me performing for you in this way, you're not really my friend. I think there's a piece of this that applies to this scenario. If you have to perform for me, I agree with you. There are times where it's not suitable for you to feel the full weight of what you're feeling. I think, this is me, I think that is the exception and not the rule. I think that's the minute, not the major. I think that scenario should be the sometimes, not the majority of the time. I think the majority of the time you should feel safe feeling what you're feeling with me. And there might be some times, okay, it's been 3 months I haven't been intimate with my husband. That's extreme. But it's been 3 months. I know I don't feel the best, but I'm a push through, right? That's an extreme scenario. But I do think that a good husband, a good wife is there walking with you in what you're going through and helping you come out of those scenarios. I'm saying that because I do see what she's saying. I do hear what you're saying. And I think we're saying the same thing. I just really want to push people to, because it's so, people don't feel what they feel now. They suffer in silence. That's the norm. And I think there's so much of what we deal with as a people because of that. So I just want to give voice to that. But yeah. Heavy. Nikki Giovanni, James Baldwin. I'm going to give him a round of applause. Such a good conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I could go on for days about this because I also feel like there's a part that religion plays in this, but we
say that for the live. Oh, I'm mad. I want to hear about that. I didn't even think about that. I don't even know what you're talking about.
I think like when, especially in Christianity, and it's not a bad teaching. I just think it's walked out bad sometimes. But when we talk about service and sacrifice and how you're supposed to sacrifice yourself for your spouse, how you're supposed to serve your spouse.
I want to flip this table.
Sometimes you got to pretend to make sure them vows is being met. When I'm sacrificing what I feel sometimes to make sure that you feel good, that's what sacrifice is. That's what service is. It is. It's not all the time. I don't always want to be the one sacrificing what I feel and what I need. It's a balance. But pushing down those emotions that are taking over you, especially when they're negative emotions, sometimes you gotta play through it. You gotta play injured. Put me in the game, coach. I still want us to win.
I agree with that. I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
I don't disagree with that. I could talk. We can talk around this for days. So I'm just gonna let it go.
It's so much more.
I'd love to get someone else to weigh in on this. I wish we walked up on this when we had some guests. I didn't even think about it.
I mean, we still have a whole.
This will come.
Seven seasons left.
We're going to revisit this conversation. But man,
this is a good way to end it, though.
It was great season. Are we going live? Mm-hmm. So this isn't the last episode.
Well,
last episode,
yes,
not live.
We'll go live.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right,
we're going live on Thursday. Always Facebook and YouTube live, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as long as the equipment is working. We was like 9:15 last week, but we still performed, okay? So we will be going live. We would love to see everybody that listens to the episode over there. No, it's not possible, but it's the last one of season 4. So if you can make it, please come kick it with us live with our family.
Shameless plug for those of you guys who have listened all the way to minute 17 or wherever this is.
1 hour and 17 minutes.
1 hour, 17 minutes. Y'all family. Like, you rock with us for real. And there's some of y'all who rock with us for real and are not subscribed to our YouTube channel. And that blows my mind. So if you're listening right now, maybe you listen to us on audio, but you go to YouTube sometimes. Do us a favor. Subscribe, like some episodes. It does help the channel. It's a way for you to support us in a way that's completely free. It's a push of a button, and it helps us. It helps push us into monetization. So, yeah, join us. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff.
If you want to support the show, always you can go to $, what they never told us on Cash App. You can watch some videos on YouTube. Cost you nothing, but we're about 500 views away from monetization.
Right. Absolutely.
Or you can go to Facebook, engage, comment, like our content, stars, our content on there. It's all free ways to support the show. So if you're like, look, I ain't got it. Okay, well, get Facebook. You can even get a fake profile and just share from there if you don't want people to know.
And it's been so many of y'all who have just been generous with us, like unexpected. Just, hey, look, y'all bless me. I want to bless y'all. And we love y'all. Y'all don't know the special place that y'all hold in our hearts. So Thank you guys very much.
Yes, and it all goes back into the show. We're not pocketing none of it. So whatever you do, it just helps us grow and helps us maintain. So we appreciate it. We love.
Y'all should love too.
Bye.
Peace.